frame control, body language, verbal dominance. Those are the topics you guys are asking for a lot. We'll analyze the following 3 clips in this verbal dominance video. This is the first one.
So before we get to anything, you're gonna convince me why I should go with you in the first place.
How can you deal with a situation like this, where someone takes the bigger frame? You'll see how Harvey deals with it perfectly in a moment. The next clip will exemplify how you can use your verbal dominance in situations that are more attraction related.
Will you be my boyfriend? Just for a minute. You're not a serial killer, are you?
Now, how can you respond to that without sounding boring? The last short clip will show you how Raymond Reddington deals with this situation.
I'm not here.
As for the videos, they're going to be uploaded on a weekly basis on this channel, and I'll share the second channel's name soon. Here's a sweet 20-second preview of next week's long-awaited video of the blue personality. The hallmark of a blue person is their analytical, calm and level-headed approach to life. They love rules, regulations and protocols. Unsurprisingly, they are extremely data-driven. They are conscientious people, and on a spectrum of emotional versus rationality, they heavily lean towards rationality. Now, I'm not gonna make this an elaborative video going into the nitty-gritty details. However, what I am going to do is I'm gonna show you clips where you can see how someone takes charge of the frame after being verbally insulted or verbally attacked. And the second thing you'll also notice is some body language gestures you haven't seen before, and some obviously which you have. Now just see how he walks. The 6 traits you can spot there.
Kevin, I hear you're looking for a fight and understand we don't have much time.
A little context, Harvey has a meeting with this guy whose company is about to go bankrupt. And he's late, he's 20 minutes late. So this is what happens.
Fight and understand we don't have much time.
We don't, and I just wasted half an hour waiting for you.
See that hand gesture, guys? I haven't covered that one before, I believe. It's a very decisive yet aggressive hand gesture. It's as if you're in a conversation like, up until this point and no further. It's almost like a karate chop, and the fact that he's pointing it and towards him, it's a very aggressive stance, and you see people who are mad do this, but also people who are very dominant. Harvey Specter in the entire series, you see him using this a lot.
So before we get to anything, you're gonna convince me why I should go with you in the first place.
You're going to convince me why I should go with you in the first place. In other words, you have to now qualify yourself on why I should accept you as my lawyer. How would you respond if you were Harvey Specter? And guys, I know this is where there's like this ethical problem that arises. If you are late, as a man of character, you tell them, hey man, my fault, I'm sorry, I'm late. That's 95% of the time, that's the best way to go. However, you also need to have the tool set that in instances or cases or situations that people attack you, to powerfully neutralize the situation and show like, hey, I'm not playing your game anymore. If you want to play the power game, let's go there, but I'm gonna defeat you and I'm gonna beat the shit out of you. Don't use that all of the time, guys. I can't tell you guys this enough. In cases where you're clearly wrong, be a man of character and just say this is not what's gonna happen. And the red personalities among us, it's a very difficult thing to do. However, it's the right thing to do. It's the ethical thing to do. It's the thing that builds your character. But let's presume right now, if someone in your life does this all of the time, they just verbally attack you and they're like, oh, you should qualify yourself to me now. What would you do in this situation? Before I play what Harvey's response is, look at how he has his hands. Very spacious, claiming territory there. Obviously it's his firm, but look how he stands, very wide, almost anchoring his hands, attaching those chairs to himself.
And you're gonna convince me why I should go with you in the first place.
Okay, we're done.
That's his response. Harvey's not accepting his frame. So what was that frame? It was something along the lines of, I'm the one in charge here. I am the one who selects you now. Harvey's having none of that. Oh yeah? We're done. Also hear his vocal tonality. At the end, it goes down.
We're done. We're done. We're done.
It isn't like, we're done. That's weakness. That's like supplicating vocal tonality. It's like with the vocal inflection going up. We're done. How does it sound? Neutrally, we're done. That would be perfectly fine here, but he's taking it up to the next level. We're done. He's ending his vocal tonality like it's over now. Let's see what happens next.
We're done. Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
What?
You heard me. Only one of us is facing bankruptcy, and it isn't me. So instead of scolding me for being late, you needed to be convincing me why I should save your dying company.
Very powerful. What he does here is, the guy comes in with the frame, I'm above you, I'm the one selecting it. Harvey's like, no you're not. Bang, equalizing it. And then he goes on to saying like, you're the one who should be convincing me why I should take your dying company. Very powerful. So now Harvey's the one taking the power and saying, qualify yourself to me now.
Save your dying company. So, nice to meet you.
And the cherry on top, he just walks away. I don't have time for you.
Loyalty.
See, Harvey's making him work to get his attention here.
What did you just say?
I have a game-changing contract that's guaranteed to come my way in 6 weeks.
Now he's the one qualifying. Look at him. He is the one moving towards Harvey now, whilst Harvey is still standing there at the door. This is also indicating like, I'm not gonna take a lot of shit of you. He's setting the tone for the relationship right now. Let me fast forward this part. Harvey's now at the position where he holds the power, and now the negotiation has come on. And guys, negotiation is a skill you need to develop in your life. We'll get to those skills in another video.
And I guarantee we'll never leave you.
Here's the thing, Kevin. I don't give a shit about a regional trucking company that's only going to increase our billings 1%.
But what is happening right now? Harvey's the one holding the power. And he's like, I don't want to accept a tiny amount of money for this.
I get you out of this, your stock's going to go through the roof.
You want a piece?
I want 20%.
No way.
Now he refuses it, and he refuses it very strongly.
No way.
Like he's fully convinced, I'm not going to give you 20%. Because here is vocal tonality here. Very strong.
No way.
Now, what would you do here? You laid your proposal down and it's getting refused just like that. Here's something Harvey knows. He is the one who moved across the room to him. Even bigger than that, he's the one coming to his office. He's the one traveling the most distance. He's the one leaning in the most, so to speak. And the one who does that holds the least power. In the majority of cases, obviously there are certain exceptions. And Harvey capitalizes on that. This is what he says.
You're the one coming to me, okay? 80% of something is a whole lot better than 100% of nothing.
Now guys, that is verbal dominance.
80% of something is a whole lot better than 100% of nothing.
Witty, sharp, to the point, just like that. And also notice Harvey's the one now stepping into it. He is covering some distance with him. He's showing some interest now. Like, you want to close this deal? We're almost there.
You gonna fight out there like you just did in here?
This is the preseason, Kevin. I haven't even broken a sweat.
Also, the shrug you saw here is when both shoulders rise up like that, it's usually a genuine gesture. When one shoulder raises up, that's a whole nother story, but I'm gonna cover that in a proper body language video. Now that we've covered Harvey's verbal dominance, let's hop on to the next scene in which you can observe how verbal dominance can be applied to increase attraction in a non-confrontational manner. A little context, this girl is getting harassed by this guy, and she needs to find a way to get rid of him. And she tries, but she just can't do it. So her next move is to say that she's been waiting on a date and points to that guy. She excuses herself and goes to that table. Now this is what happens.
Will you be my boyfriend? Just for a minute. You're not a serial killer, are you?
Imagine you're that guy and someone walks up to you like that. How would you respond? See, the most common way to respond to this is like, oh yeah, sure, sit down, it's okay. And no, I'm not a serial killer. That's boring, man. If you want to have a playful vibe, that's not the way you're gonna respond to it. Now, if you don't want to do anything with it and for whatever reason you're just like, fuck off, I'm doing my own thing, fair enough, just brush it off like that. But let's assume that you want to develop the skill set to come back with killer responses. How can you respond to this?
Will you be my boyfriend? Just for a minute. You're not a serial killer, are you?
Now you can respond to this in a variety of ways. Let's cover 3 of them.
Will you be my boyfriend? Just for a minute. You're not a serial killer, are you?
The first one could be something along the lines of, your boyfriend? Come on, you gotta do a lot more than that to get me. Or, you look at her, oh damn it, you blew my cover. Is it that obvious? Or,
will you be my boyfriend? Just for a minute. You're not a serial killer, are you?
you lean in, you look around. I'm the most wanted, most notorious killer alive. How did you figure that out? I mean, none of these people came up and just figured me out like that. And then you wait for the response. Whatever it is, guys, it really doesn't matter. Because even though you bought into her frame, you're gonna elaborate on this big time. So whatever response is, this is what you follow up with. I think it's deeper than that. It all started in your childhood. All the men were boring, but a serial killer, someone operating between life and death. Now that excited you, and now you can walk anywhere you want and you sniff those serial killers out, just like a police dog sniffing out narcotics at an airport. You're an intelligent girl. You see, what happens now is the usual social norm. You're not responding in that way. You separate yourself from 99% of other men, and you did it like that. Now obviously that skill is something you need to work on. It's a muscle that needs to be trained over and over again. In the beginning it might take a day, 2 days, maybe a week before you come with the perfect response. However, if you keep practicing this muscle, that period between the initial moment and your response will shorten down to a point that you're coming up with it instantly.
You're not a serial killer, are you?
It depends. How many times does it take to get to serial?
5?
Oh, no, we're good.
Jess.
Before we move to the last short example, if you gained any kind of value in this video, you can support the channel by leaving a comment down below and hitting the like button. And for those who are new here, the goal of this channel is to give you tools and strategies that you can implement in your life so you can achieve your desired goals and dreams. If that is something that resonates with you, consider subscribing. The golden ticket video will be uploaded the week after the blue personality video goes live. Let's move to the next scene. This is a very short one of Raymond Reddington.
He's here. I'm not here.
Notice he doesn't even say hi or anything. He just looks at him, starts smiling at, yeah, sure.
This meeting never took place, and you will never be in the same room with the president-elect.
You really should try Ginny's cheeseburger chowder. The ground chuck and spices,
Now, we don't need to watch the rest of the clip for this. Now, what you see is this guy comes in with his attitude like, oh, I'm gonna tell you how it is. This is how it's gonna be. You're never gonna sit with a president-elect. Blah-de-blah-de-blah-da. And Raymond, he doesn't even acknowledge it with, oh, we're gonna get to that in a second. No, he just goes ahead and says what he wanna say. He's like, we're gonna talk about what I wanna talk about, and we're gonna do it on my terms. Now, friends, this isn't something healthy if you go with every conversation and you're doing this. However, there are some people out there that try to dominate you the entire time. And if it's in a high stakes situation, you need to be able to counter that. And that's why you're developing these skills. You can use it practically speaking with everything, whether that's when you're meeting a woman or you want to be an interesting person in a group, or just like this in a business negotiation, whatever it is, guys, you need to develop this skill. You need to become very dominant in your speaking skills. Now, as many of you know, English is not my native language. It's actually my third language, and I'm also developing myself in learning how to speak more eloquently, expanding my vocabulary, and learning phrases and analogies and metaphors that richen up and enliven someone's speech. It's a process we're all going through. And one thing that I'm using my planner, believe it or not, to do this. Anyhow, that will be a video for another time. If you have not watched the Red Personality video, you do not know what you're missing out on. Here it is. One of the skills almost all successful people have acquired is the ability of reading people. By the end of this video series, you'll acquire the foundation for a very easy and powerful framework. Then, once you know your own behavior type, you recognize others and you're able to adjust your way of speaking, writing, thinking, and ultimately your own behavioral pattern to increase the likelihood for a more effective and pleasant communication. If you want to keep watching this video, click here. If you want to watch the most recent video on this channel, you can click right here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, you can do that right now. And guys, as always, keep striving for excellence.